Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya. Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar arpanastu. ஒரு மணி நேரம். For 1 hour we have been singing Bhagwan's powerful Nama and have offered this at his feet. Let us remember again what she said, that every Nama that we utter will help not only the individual and the people around, but also the world and his Father's work. So we can be sure that we helped ourselves and also the world and his Father's work. What a blessing it is. We owe it all to Bhagwan's grace. Yesterday, I was telling you about Sri Venugopal, his health problem, how he was not able to breathe properly, and how Bhagwan called him near and just stroked his nose twice with 2 fingers of his, and how the vein that was blocking the way moved away, leaving space for easy breathing, just like that. Today, Srimati Abrupam Amma told me how her granddaughter, daughter's daughter, younger daughter, Surya, had a health problem too, somewhat similar to this. She was finding it very difficult to breathe. She was still studying in school. And they rushed her to the hospital in Pondicherry, and there the operation was fixed also for a certain day. On the day of the operation, Surya was about to start, and her parents were also preparing to go. Just at that moment, her elder sister, Surya was very scared. She was chanting Bhagwan's Nama, of course her parents also. But the elder sister had a sudden hormonal change in her body, and she attained her puberty. With the result, the parents had to immediately arrange for certain rituals. Traditional as they are, they have their own significance. And the parents could not leave the elder daughter, so the operation was cancelled. And of course, Surya was so happy that Bhagwan listened to her prayers. But then the problem should have continued. But what followed was a great wonder to everybody. Somehow from that day she was able to breathe better, and slowly everything got cleared and she was back to normal. How did this happen? To Venugopal, he had to go. Bhagwan asked him to go to the doctor. That was the only way they could get it examined, and they would be sure, after seeing the X-ray, how the vein that was blocking the way had moved. And here there was no such thing. Bhagwan was no more living in the body, and no going to the doctor. And yet Bhagwan took pity on this little girl and granted what she prayed for. It's a wonder how the grace works to different people in different ways, in different circumstances. It's difficult to know how exactly it works, but it's enough for us that it works at all. Isn't that great? Enough. There's another glimpse from the life of Bhagwan. It is from the life of his beloved devotee. We all know how Justice Arunachalam was chosen as the spiritual heir of Bhagwan and was handed over the responsibility of running the ashram, which he did rather very well. Once in 2006, he had to go to attend 2 weddings in Madurai arranged by the devotees' families. After attending one wedding, there was still a week ahead before he could attend the second one. He didn't want to go all the way to Chennai and come back. He stayed on, and the families of people who had arranged for the wedding, they also arranged for his stay for 1 week. There was a couple very devoted to this Melammaruvuttur, Bangaru Adigala. And they had an extra place which was usually allotted for Adigala whenever he came to Madurai. A portion of that was allotted for Justice Arunachalam, and he took it up gladly. Every day he would get some fruits. He had a photograph of Bhagwan in his room, and he would do puja and arati. After offering some fruits to Bhagwan, he would conclude this puja with arati, and then whoever came to see him, he would distribute the prasad to him, the prasad fruits. The last day, he was going to leave the place, and as usual, he did the puja. He had some mangoes to offer to Bhagwan that day. He concluded the puja with the arati. So when he had to take leave of those people, the very hospitable couple. He gave some of those mangoes he had offered to Bhagwan as prasad to this couple. And after that he returned. Within a few days, he got a message from Anandaraj, a message that thrilled him from head to foot. The couple who received the mangoes from his puja had taken some of them to a Siddha Purusha in a village near Madurai. When they offered it to him, he looked at it and then said something very curious. He said he could hear Ram Nam, incessant Ram Nam in the mango. And he asked where they got it from. He said, this must have been touched by a great master who was given to ceaseless chanting of Ram Nam. This is the prasad from some great master who is chanting Ram Nam all the time. The couple, it was their turn to get surprised, and they passed on this news to Sri Anandaraj, who in turn informed Justice. What a revelation! When you offer something to Bhagwan's photo as puja to him, you can be sure now they would be accepted by Bhagwan and they would be filled with this Ram Nam. That is the indication. Anyone who does puja to Bhagwan, we feel reassured by this incident that whatever we offer to Bhagwan's photo, it reaches him and it's filled with his Ram Nam, it's filled with his blessings. I remember a funny incident which happened in Maharashtra. People would have heard about Janabai. Janabai was doing all the household chores. That is, she worked as a servant in the house of Namdev. Though Namdev never treated her as a servant, he treated her as his own daughter. Yet, Janabai was doing all the work, including the heavy works. She would take it, snatch it from his wife, Namdev's wife, and do it on her own. And that way she was doing. The cow dung was there in the backyard. She would make small balls and flatten them and put them up in the sun to dry. And she would do all the work at home, chanting Panduranga, Panduranga, Panduranga. Vittal, Vittal, Vittal. Whatever work, while sweeping the floor, washing the clothes, eating, anything that she had to do, she would fill it up with Vittal's Nam. Vittal, Vittal was going on all the time. So naturally when she made those flat cow dung structures, when she put them up in the sun for drying, somehow it got mixed up with the next door, the neighbor's cow dung. Now the flat ones were all mixed while they were drying in the sun. Probably the neighbor did it deliberately because she wanted to have more of this. Now, as soon as Janabai found out, the neighbor had taken some of her hard-earned cow dung flatties, she got terribly wild. Immediately she tucked her sari. She folded the sari and tucked it inside, getting ready to fight with that lady. And there was an intense fight. They almost came to blows. Here was Janabai claiming her own cow dung flatty, while the other woman was saying, no, they're all mine. You are lying. So they were blaming each other. And were about to come to blows when Gyandev, Kabir, Namdev, these great masters of the time, they came in search of Janabai. Namdev spoke so much about Janabai to Gyandev and Kabir. They had come to have darshan of Janabai. Namdev took them to the backyard. And what did they see there? Janabai, sari tucked well, getting ready to give a blow to the neighbor. They have picked up a fight, and the fight has reached its height. Kabir and Gyandev were stunned. Here was Namdev praising Janabai's bhakti so gloriously. They had expected a very different scene altogether, but what did they see? Janabai fighting with a neighboring lady, was about to give her a blow in claiming her own property. Then Gyandev smiled. They were great people themselves, and they understood in 1 second what was happening. And Janabai, she saw these two people. She did not care one bit they had come all the way to see her. She complained to them bitterly. Just see what this woman has done. She has stolen my property. All my cow dung flatties she is claiming as her own. This is not fair. So Gyandev and Kabir, they wanted to pacify her. She appealed to them. She said, you are all great people. You're all great saints, so popular. Now, you please let her know that these are mine. So Gyandev came forward, and for a second he did not know what to do, how to find out. And then he took up one flatty after the other, and when he put it to his ear, he clearly heard soulful Vittal, Vittal, Vittal. In the neighbor's cow dung flatty, nothing of the sort was heard. It was ordinary cow dung roti. But every one of Janabai's was filled with Vittal mantra. Jnanadev knew instantly what a great woman Janabai is. Immediately, he and Kabir prostrated before her. So when we chant, when we do puja as an offering to God, or when we do any act, any household work or office work, chanting the mantra gets into the very work that we are doing. And what's more, they receive the mantra and they reflect it. Great experts like Jnanadev and Kabir, they could find out, just looking at it, they could hear the mantra embedded in those things that we work with. So you see, no puja ever goes waste. The mantra that we utter while doing work will never go waste. They get embedded in the things around. Now Bhagwan was ceaselessly chanting the mantra Ram, 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 Ram. The whole ashram is filled with this Ram Nam. There is not an inch of ground where he had not walked. The very air of the ashram, every plant, every tree, every rock, everything in the ashram must be resounding, reverberating with his Ram Nam. Even the water, he called one Ganga, another Jamuna, a third one Saraswati. Whatever came from his mouth, the only truth. So when you take a little water from the ashram, you can be sure you are taking water from the Triveni Sangam. Such is the glory of the Nama chanting. What a revelation. What happened to Justice Mangoes is one more reassurance to all of us that the pujas, the offerings that we make to gods, are truly accepted by the gods, by our Bhagwan. Srimati Pankajam Das, well known to the devotees of Bhagwan. Bhagwan loved her singing, that he would call her, he would single her out in a crowd and call her near him and ask her to sing for him. She had such melodious voice, and her songs were haunting. They had a quality about them. Now she said she used to come to Bhagwan from 75, 77, 78, 79. She would also present herself promptly for Bhagwan's Jayanti in Thiruvanamalai, but Bhagwan told her that nobody celebrated his birthday in Thiruvanamalai under his order. He did not want any celebration in Thiruvanamalai, so he would tell her to go to Pondicherry and join the celebration there. 78, 79, she attended the Jayanti celebration in Pondicherry, and 80 also she went there. They had released a souvenir, this Jayanti celebration, and there Sri Ravindran's family had arranged for her stay. When Pankajam Das wanted to know more about Bhagwan, she approached this Ravindran's family. But they pointed out to Sri Jagannath, who served Bhagwan for nearly 11 years, was carrying his gunny bags, was being his attendant. So they pointed to Jagannath, and Pankajam Das was talking to him for quite some time, gathering details. She asked him, "You have worked for someone like our Bhagwan. How could you leave him and come away? How was it possible for you to leave him and come?" To which Sri Jagannathan said, he wanted it. He wanted me to be out of this because he said that I had served his father for a number of years, and that was enough. His father did not want him, did not want me anymore. He sent me away, and 3 months after I had this craving, longing to be with him, to see him. So I had sneaked into Thiruvanamalai, was standing near Arunachaleshwara Mandir. Swami did not come there at all, but sitting there in Sannadhi Street house, he called Perumal Sadayan and told him to go and send Jagannathan back to Pondicherry. This beggar has told him not to come. He has come. Please send him away. Father says it is not necessary for his work. So Perumal Sadayan went in search of Jagannathan. He could not find him anywhere. He came back and reported, "Swami, he is not to be seen anywhere. He has probably not come at all." Then Bhagwan, just sitting there in Sannadhi Street house, told Shri Perumal Sadayan, "Jagannathan is standing there in such and such spot near the temple. You go there, see him, and pack him out." And true to that, Shri Perumal Sadayan found him there and sent him back, saying, "Bhagwan doesn't want you." Shri Pankajam Das, after listening to all these stories, she came back to Thiruvanamalai. She wanted to report promptly everything that happened. Swami was lying down. It was an afternoon, and Swami was lying down. He gave the hand fan to Pankajam Das to fan him. So when Swami was lying down, Pankajam Das narrated all that happened in Pondicherry. Bhagwan asked her, "Is that all? Anything more?" Pankajam Das thought she had said everything. He said, "No, Swami, nothing more." "Oh, Pankajam, anything more?" Pankajam could not remember anything else. She thought she had given a complete report to him, despite Swamiji asking her again and again, "Anything more?" Just at the time, 3 people were at the door. Bhagwan said, "Pankajam, will you go see who these people are?" So she went near, opened the gate, and asked their names. They said they were from Pollachi. They had come to see Arunachaleshwara, but unfortunately the temple door was closed and they could not have darshan of Arunachal. And immediately Bhagwan said, "When Arunachaleshwara closes his door, this beggar opens his door and asked her to open. And then she asked their names. The third one said Jagannath. Only then suddenly it flashed that she did not narrate that part of what happened in Pondicherry, how she met with Jagannathan and the stories that he related. She had completely forgotten that part. And then she understood it was Bhagwan's way of letting her know that he knew what happened there, and he was pointing out indirectly that she had left that portion of narration. Just see how beautifully Bhagwan arranges things so naturally that she was reminded of the part that she left out. We also hear the declaration when Arunachaleshwara closes his door, this beggar opens his door, which could only mean that Arunachaleshwara continues to keep his door open, but elsewhere. There was another incident that in the breakfast hut, whenever Justice came, he was also invited to the breakfast hut to have breakfast with Bhagwan. One day, Bhagwan used to, in Sudama, Bhagwan used to get many letters every day, and I used to read them out to him. Some people used to repeat again and again and again. They would be writing the same thing and posting it to Bhagwan. There was one particular man who wrote all the time complaining how he had no money, how he had married twice and he had to look after 2 families now, and there was hardly any money, and he wanted help from Bhagwan. Almost every day we would get a letter from him, a postcard. So that day there was no time to show, so I had brought it with me to the hut. And when I showed it to Bhagwan, Bhagwan started to talk about him. Bhagwan told Justice, "You see this man, he writes every day his problems, and his problems are the same. His father, when he knew he was going to leave the body, he left the responsibility of the son, particularly the son, to this beggar, saying, 'Swami, I have settled everyone else nicely, but this son of mine would not listen to me. He spends everything that I give him. Only you have to take care of him.' So this beggar was praying to Father so much, again and again, for the sake of this man. But Father is not listening to this beggar, Justice. Father is not hearing this beggar's prayer about this man. This beggar had tried to make this man understand what he is doing is wrong. You see, his father gave him money just as he gave to other children. But this man spent everything in horse race, in gambling. And then he wanted to take a film. This beggar warned him, this beggar told him repeatedly not to get into cine industry. But this man would not listen to me. Then his own brother and sister, they helped him. They gave him some money, but even that he lost in the industry. He just would not listen to any of us. And he is suffering again and again. This beggar also doesn't know what to do with him because Father would not listen to this beggar's prayers about him. Even if Father should give him money, he would spend it in a day or two and come back and report the same thing. What to do, Justice Arunachalam? In so doing, Bhagwan revealed to all of us present there that it was important that we cooperate with Bhagwan when we want certain things done by Bhagwan for us. Our cooperation is very important. Even while Bhagwan was blessing people, or as he said, praying to his Father, it's also important that we cooperate with Bhagwan by chanting his name, by listening to what he says and doing what he commands, not going against his will. But we see so many people do not take to heart what Bhagwan advises. And then they complain later on that Bhagwan let him down. But they may not analyze what they have done. This is what Bhagwan was pointing out. He pointed out this point several times. Whenever an occasion, such a situation was called for, he would say this, that people should listen to this beggar and it would make this beggar's work easier. They should cooperate with this beggar. What could that mean? We must also keep chanting the name. We must also pray for the same. And we must do what Bhagwan advises. Now this Bhagwan is here right in front of us, ready to give. Any gift of grace that we ask for, we shall submit today's prayers at his feet. Bhagwan, we seek your immediate intervention. To free the entire humanity from the clutches of this terrible disease and bring back a dharmic normalcy in the world. Please remove the panic from the hearts of people and stop the spread of the disease. Bhagwan, please enter the vaccine so that it would work well. It would become a potent medicine.